We had big hurricanes in Florida a year and a half back. A lot of my clients lost their homes, people lost
Oh,
businesses, people lost cars. We still haven't recovered in the area from that, but I think maybe a good, I want to say half of my clients lost their homes. Within about two, maybe 3 months, all of them came back, and we're a very expensive shop. So they came back to that type of training. All of them did, and they just said, I need I need this for my mental health. I need this to keep sane, to keep going, to have kind of, they really saw value, like people who lost their home, who were displaced, who had to move, who had to make a very different commute and pay money that they were putting into repairing their homes. And that meant a lot, not just that meant that what we do matters to these people, and they see that, right? It would have been very understandable and easy to say, oh my God, you're living at your in-laws now and it's 40 minutes away, and completely understand that you can't do this anymore. But people really saw value in that.
all right, and we are live, and I am here with Olya. Please go ahead and tell me about all that you do.
The Athleticus personal training studio in St. Pete. We focus on strength training for people who want a great lifestyle, who may have had an injury of some kind. Generally, people who are athletic or had been athletic in the past have had a setback either of an injury or maybe just took time off for family and career, but they want to get back to fitness, they want to look great, they want to feel great. And they know that working one-on-one with someone is just going to get them there faster.
That's awesome. How did you know that that's what you wanted to open up as a gym?
Well, I've been in gyms, my whole life. I love gyms. I got injured in a group fitness class, and then I worked with a personal trainer, and that really helped rehab my shoulder, got me to a fitness level that I had never gotten in group fitness or alone.
Ooh, yeah.
And then when I opened the gym, I still really thought I would do some group fitness, but in the beginning, when you don't have a lot of clients, it's really hard to do group fitness because you have so few clients that you don't know which time and which day to do it in. So, one person wants Wednesday mornings, one person wants Friday evenings. So it kind of ended up that in the beginning, I didn't have enough people for a group at any given time. Everybody was like, well, I'll do group, but only if it's when it's convenient to me. And it was really hard to get those groups going. So we're like, you know what, we'll start with
Yeah.
one-on-one, and eventually we'll have enough people, and then we'll just put them in a group. That really never happened. Nobody wanted to be in a group.
Oh,
People wanted their own trainer. They wanted to focus on themselves. They wanted the trainer's attention. They didn't want to share space. They realized that other people have different goals. Somebody is older, somebody is stronger, somebody's taller. It just never quite coalesced. I've tried multiple times to start a group, and everyone's like, oh, I love it. I'll totally get in a group. And then I'd be like, okay, cool. You want to do Wednesday evening? And I can't.
oh,
Like, oh, okay, cool. You want to do Saturday morning? Oh, I can't. So then it was just kind of like, never mind. It just isn't what people want. They like the concept because it seems more communal and like it'll be fun, and they think it will be less expensive. But then they lose the personalization, and they have to do it when other people want to do it, and those people may not want what they want. And then the reality of group is really not attractive. The theory is, but in reality, everybody wants their own special thing, at least from us.
yeah, absolutely. So, is there like a point where you're working for other people that you like hit that you're like, I can do this all by myself?
Yeah, I've worked in tech the majority of my career, and in startups, pretty much all of it. And at a certain point, I wanted to be promoted further, and in the startup, it's really difficult because they're small companies. So I went to work for a very large Fortune 100 company, and I realized that I am not a Fortune 100 person. I like startups. I like doing things. I don't like sitting in meetings. And I kind of wanted something of my own for a long time. And I thought about what would be great for me as a lifestyle and just fun. And I love gyms. My husband loves gyms. We're just people who are always fit. So, I could have opened up a bakery or a nail salon, but those things wouldn't be as good for my health. So it's like something that I enjoy. It would be really good for me as a lifestyle. To be in the gym every day is a good thing. So it just made sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so then to open up your gym, when did you turn into like this could be so much bigger than just you?
Well, um, do you mean like when did I decide to open a gym that wouldn't just be for myself like that?
Kind of like more than just like you're the only person, you're the only face, you're the only part of this gym.
I never trained people. It was never the intent. I'm not a personal trainer. I don't have that background. My background is in management. So I never felt like I can just be a personal trainer and grow a business. I knew that I needed people to do that part. Because I come from a startup kind of workspace, I know how to manage, I know how to run stuff, I know how to set things up and build systems and build teams and manage them. But the actual science of the human body is not my area. So I immediately opened with an employee who was a trainer. So my job was setting everything up, building things, financing things, getting clients, but servicing all of that was his job. And now at this point we have 5 trainers.
Wow.
So I step in and I got licensed so that I can step in and help out if somebody's ill, but it was never my intention to be the delivery. I kind of think you should stick to what you're really good at. And so I hired people who were really, really good trainers so that I can do the management part that is my strength.
Okay. What would you say is the one thing about what you do that nobody really asks you about, but you wish they would?
I think building teams and culture in businesses like this is maybe not as focused on because it's assumed that it's a young man's game, and so that people would come and go and it doesn't really matter, right? The employees come in and out, it's just kind of like whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I think because again, I come from a different background of startups, but people are grown and matured, and they are kind of ideally transitioned to roles of more responsibility. And I was mentored that way. I always really focused on teams. So my primary job is the retention and growth of my team. So,
Wow.
and the main thing everything that we offer and everything that my clients say they like really comes back to the team. They like that I have consistent, long-term, full-time guys. They love their work. They're not part-timers. They're not gig workers. Nobody's trying to be a model. No one's trying to be an athlete. They are adults. They went to school for this. This is their profession. They are not looking to become an economist or a baseball player. They don't have other jobs. All of them, if they didn't do it at the Athleticus, they would do it elsewhere, but they would do this. This is their passion. So I think creating systems where these people can thrive, they can see growth, they can take out a mortgage. Those are the things that are overlooked, I think, in the service industry, where it's just like, just get someone to do the thing. And if they leave or you fire them, get another person to do the thing as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas I think for me, the blocker or the kind of the pain point is always going to be hiring. So we can always get more of whatever else. It's the finding good enough people is the pain point. So I always really focus on coach retention and making sure that I do have people who are with me for years rather than, kind of a rolling team of in and outs. So I think not enough time is spent on that aspect of fitness because it's just assumed in the gym that it's not possible to grow a team.
Have you found like the secret sauce? What helps you hire the perfect person to stay a while?
At this point, what's helped me is to step out of hiring. Um, the guys are so protective of the culture and of the standard and of their clients that they really, at this point, they interview, they take the candidates through verbal interviews, through on-site interviews, through practical interviews. Um, I get kind of a final rubber stamp, yes or no, but um, because they like where they work, they like each other, they like their clients, they don't want somebody who's going to bring the team down. Like my only guidance at this point is to, if there's 5 trainers, don't bring me someone who's going to be number 6. In other words, don't bring me someone who's going to bring the average down. Bring me someone who's going to be in the middle to bring us all up. And they take it very, very seriously. So I think part of that is growing a team is also delegating and trusting them to make those decisions instead of being the one and letting them. There have been people that I absolutely loved and they were like, they're not good enough. And I was like, I really, really just want to hire them. We need a person. I like her. She's so cool. And they were like, no. And I have to say no because I gave someone else that responsibility. So then I can't take it away from them last minute. And I also, again, I am not by profession a trainer, and they are, and they know what to look for. Whereas I fall in love with everyone. So I've basically taken myself out of hiring except to veto someone but that's never happened. More often than not, I say, oh, I really like her. How did she do? And they're like, no. So
So stepping away even and releasing the reins, has it been scary?
no, I have a really, really good team, and that's part of it, right? It's not how I started. It wasn't like I just, hired one person and I was like, here you go, just hire whoever else.
Right.
Over time, as we refine the hiring process and it's done by multiple trainers, they essentially have to come to an agreement, and that part is not hard. I think I'm very confident in. Sometimes I wish they were a little bit less strict because sometimes we do need to hire and we have to keep looking. But I found that they're better judges as a group of their own professional skill set when they see it in others than I am. Because I like the person, but I don't necessarily have the breadth of knowledge to judge if they really are a good trainer.
Yeah, I think that's so important too. I hear, like, especially in the therapy world, but even like physical therapy or any other kind of very one-on-one kind of help and care, the rapport is massive. And if that person can't build rapport with your clients, like, you're like, oh no, you gotta go.
Yeah, and I think, again, right, if you delegate something, then you have to own the fact that you've given that person that responsibility, and you can't then walk over them and jump over and be like, well, you know what, I don't like your decision, so I'm just going to decide a different way, right? Once you've given that, you have to own the fact that it's theirs, and if you don't agree with it, you don't agree with it, but that's the decision. So yeah, that's actually a nice part of it, is feeling like I have a good team that I can trust to do these types of things, that it's not all me, I'm all alone, I have to be in charge. There are things that I don't have to be in charge of.
Yeah. Do you ever get time like talking to the members, I'd assume?
What's that?
Do you ever get time talking to the members?
Oh yeah, I mean, my job is kind of like that. That's what it is. I walk the floor, I'm around, I work out all the time. So I think people really like seeing the owner on site. They like seeing that I drink my own Kool-Aid. I am trained by my trainers. My husband is trained by our trainers. that I like being there, that they can reach me, that I'm an escalation point for any issues, that I'm not some mythical person who has an email, but I think that we live in a world where services are more and more delivered online. They're delivered through AI. They're delivered through video. So very few places are actually personal, right? Everybody says it's personalized, which means they insert your name into things. Um, so it's kind of tailored to you, if you will. But in terms of really personalized, like people know you, I know your dog's name, right? We talk about whatever, right? What's going on in your life, your car, your kids, your hair, whatever, right? So I think that has, it's not a monetized value, but in very few businesses, I find as a client, people know my name. They know how I like my coffee, how I like my hair. In a lot of places, they just kind of, they're generically polite, but people don't know or care. So creating an environment where that's true. For a lot of people, we're one of maybe one or two places where they feel like they're known and liked, and genuinely people know them. We know whose knee hurts, or who went to Hawaii last week. So, and a lot of people miss that. I miss that when I don't have that in a lot of places. Even the places I go to all the time, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Their employees change over all the time. They have a lot of clients. Everybody's very nice, but it's transactional.
Yeah.
Transactional and impersonal. Even if you have their emails come to you and they call you by your name, hello, Olya, they don't really know.
Yeah.
So yeah, for clients, I think it's a big deal. And that's one of the reasons that I think opening second and third locations is a big challenge for small business, because you lose that. Yeah, you have to. If you split yourself, you may lose that kind of secret sauce of being around, just being. I can sit there and just kind of hang out and chit chat, and people see me walking around, and so they don't necessarily need me on any given day. But I'll tell you, if I'm away for 2 weeks, then people were like, "Where'd you go? We didn't see you." So yeah.
What's one thing a member has said to you that still reminds you why you do this?
There have been a couple of things. We had big hurricanes in Florida a year and a half back. A lot of my clients lost their homes. People lost businesses. People lost cars. We still haven't recovered in the area from that. But I think maybe a good, I want to say half of my clients lost their homes. And within about 2, maybe 3 months, all of them came back. And we're a very expensive shop. So they came back to that type of training. All of them did. And they just said, I need this, I need this for my mental health. I need this to keep sane, to keep going, to have kind of, they really saw value. Like people who lost their home, who were displaced, who had to move, who had to make a very different commute and pay money that they were putting into repairing their homes. And that meant a lot, not just that meant that what we do matters to these people, and they see that, right? It would have been very understandable and easy to say, oh my God, you're living at your in-laws now, and it's 40 minutes away, and completely understand that you can't do this anymore. But people really saw value in that. And we've had people who've had, serious surgeries come back, and they feel better. They noticeably know, they feel their bodies, they just need this. Even people who used to not like exercise, they come back for the feeling and for the people there. Mm-hmm. And that makes you feel like, okay, this matters to this group of people. This is helping them. And I think, having come from software, you don't get that from somebody who's like, oh my God, this app is so cool.
No.
I mean, they might be like, hey, great, great job delivering it on time or whatever, but you're not changing anybody's life, right? No one's like, oh my God, this really means so much. They're like, cool, good stuff. Like the buttons work, dope.
Yeah.
But no one's like crying about it, right? Like with happiness, no one's like, oh my God, this means so much. It's like,
Yeah.
cool, thanks for the app. Here's a check.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you've built like a really incredible support system for everybody else in the community. Is there like a certain person or a place that actually is like really supporting you to the same level behind the scenes?
All the guys are awesome. Like honestly, like I hurt my shoulder again. I keep doing things to myself
Oh.
outside of the gym, and they're rehabbing my shoulder. When I just went to London for a week, they managed it. They managed some structural issues that we had with the building. I have my husband is fantastic. He is a business consultant, so he has a huge background in leadership, and so he's very supportive and just knows a lot about business, about managing that kind of stuff. And I have a great mentor. I've worked for somebody on and off for probably 12 or 14 years in many different jobs because again, startups just start up and wind down. He has great perspective in terms of leadership, building teams, building community. So I've been mentored really well. And I think in that, I do have support. I have a friend who started a completely different business at the same time that I did. So we kind of had a lot of stuff from, hey, how do you get an LLC to, oh crap, is that how much electricity costs? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So I had somebody kind of in a very different sphere, but some of the same things, right? Oh, where do you order shirts? Or, did you have the city cite you for this? Because I did. So,
Oh.
but these are just things that, it happen. It's still difficult to be the decision maker. At the end of the day, I'm responsible and accountable for all of it. But I think that's also by design. You kind of somebody has to be right, and that is what I like. My profession is that. So if anything, if I had to say I can own this, this is what I can own is the responsibility of it.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you feel like is the heaviest part of owning a gym that no one really warned you about?
Well, the marketing is definitely a thing. I think in a lot of business, you think, I'll be training people or I'll be doing whatever. No, I'm just doing marketing. That's it. Um, Marketing, finding more clients. We are unique in the gym space. Typically, trainers have to bring in their own clients, so they're typically commissioned and incentivized to bring clients, to upsell clients, to sell more sessions, or to sell packages. We don't have any of that. My guys don't sell anything. They don't upsell. They don't talk to clients about money. So I'm the only one that does any of that. So so it's nice for the clients because when you come in, no one's costing you with like, hey, do you want to upgrade or do you want to buy a session or do you want a shirt? Do you want protein? We got supplements. Like you just work out with this person that you like. You talk about whatever you want, but making sure that obviously the business has money, the business has clients. Um, that's that's my role, and sometimes it's easier and sometimes it's harder. So the systems that we have are very, very good, and they account and can mitigate economic like fluctuations and all kinds of other stuff like the hurricanes. We were able to come through that when a lot of other businesses weren't. But that is, I'm solely responsible for it, so I'm the only one who has the burden of like worrying about it.
Yeah, that's really hard to hold the idea of what everybody else is going through and yet still be like, no, we have like membership dues or we have like, you still have to like pay our bills. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I'm responsible for 6 households that have mortgages and
yeah,
you know all kinds of other families and stuff. So that's definitely something that I have to be cognizant of, right? It's not just, can I withstand this or can I live like this? It's like, what about these other people? So,
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what does a real day in your life look like behind the posting that no one ever really sees?
I mean, there's a lot of freedom in how I spend my time. Um, I guess people don't really see that a lot of it is, intentional. And so, and that's not really necessary for everyone to see, right? Like, but there is a reason why things work smoothly. There's a reason why we've never missed a session or no client has ever had a trainer be late for them. Like, it's like, oh, it's because you guys are really good. Yes, but also it's because there's a whole like back end to how you accomplish that.
Yeah.
So building all of that. Sometimes, in the management side, people are like, oh, what do managers do? They're just like overhead. They just like, they take up space and, like, and not so much in fitness, but I think in tech, it's a lot of like, oh, we don't need a manager. We're adults. We can manage our own things. That's silly. Why would we even have a person like that? And, not immediately because they are adults, but a few months in, things do fall apart. And then like, I don't know what happened, man. Everything was like running smoothly. It's like, it's because no one's in charge. And if it's done well, then it looks like you're not doing anything at all. It just looks like you're circulating, socializing, hugs and kisses. If it's done well, it looks effortless. And if it's not done well, you look like you're panicking. And then people are like, oh my God, this person doesn't know what they're doing. But when it is done well, it almost looks like it's unnecessary. I'm like, just kind of hang out. Yes, just kind of hang out, but there's stuff being done.
How do you understand, or like maybe even a better question would be like, what's a lesson you've learned in this whole journey to do it all, to make it all like you're not panicking, that maybe somebody in your position, a few years back would need to know?
I mean, again, I've been in kind of those roles, and I've seen like leaders I've had good bosses,
Okay.
watching people, how they handle crises, and then years later they might tell me, "Oh my God, I was terrified," or "That was like, oh my God, that was the hardest period of like the company," right? And they didn't. How they managed that is different than how they would talk to me later as a peer in later years. So, but I think people need to feel confidence in the people who are leading them, and remember that you're being watched as the manager, as the leader. You're always being watched, and it's important to know what you're kind of projecting. And it's not like I don't have my moments where I'm like, oh, I have it, but overall, you have to let people feel like there's a plan. We're not flying by the seat of our pants, and everything will be fine, and that allows them to relax and do their job better rather than
Lots of confidence. Excuse me for 1 minute. She seemed to have been interrupted. She seemed to have disconnected somehow. I don't know what happened. I feel horrible.
pros anyway.
No worries at all. I'm just glad you were able to come back.
Oh, me too. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were kind of talking about like a good community, if I remember where we left off.
Um,
Or
yeah,
do you remember?
oh, a good community. I think it takes time. It's really hard. You can't leapfrog into like a 5-year business year one, which is frustrating for people who are just go, go, go like me. But I think it's important to kind of always think about that, even in any business. But sometimes it is disappointing, right? People leave, no matter how great it is, no matter how wonderful it is. There, people move, people get married, people get another job, people will take a job that pays more money, no matter how great you may be. And, so you just kind of have to balance that out with, I still care very much about people, knowing that this is going to be a part of their journey and probably not their lifelong 40-year-old career, right? Most people will move on. So it's still worthwhile to work on retaining them, but you just can't, the first time somebody left, I was just devastated. So you just kind of have to be like, okay, that's, did I really think he was going to work with me for 100 years, right? Probably not. So.
Yeah, that's understandable. So what about your career? Are you hoping to do this for the next 40 years?
I mean, I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. I don't think that there's much, there's still some projects that would be cool to be a part of in tech, but I think with AI and a lot of uncertainty, I do like being in a place where I, for better or worse, have full control and full responsibility. If I think something needs fixing, I can fix it. If I need to affect change, I can try to do that. Whereas, in other companies, you just have to stand by the decisions that other people make and hope that they're the right ones. And even if you see something, you're like, oh, I could fix it, you have to ask permission. And if you get told no, then you don't fix it. So I don't really see anything else in the near future. No, life is long. There's still quite a lot of time of my working years. I wouldn't rule out that I would do something else, but right now it's been 3.5 years. I don't see myself doing something else in the near to medium future.
And I know you had brought up earlier that keeping like that culture is really hard across locations. Do you ever see yourself owning more than one location?
No, I don't want to. I don't think that's going to be great for how I run the business. I also just don't want to. I don't need to, and I don't want to. And for me, it's the way to grow people is to offer them opportunities. So somebody can be a manager, somebody can be an owner. And so I think the best way for me to do that is to provide an opportunity for someone on my team to open a second location under my umbrella, where I can provide funding and I can provide expertise and I can do what someone has done for me, which is serve as a mentor and advisor, but maybe on the silent partner small percentage side. I can help fund it, but I definitely do not want to be the face of that business. I don't want to hire people. I don't want to unclog toilets there. I don't want to talk to the clients there. For all intents and purposes, I can be a sounding board and an advisor, and a financial backer. And I think that's the way to progress people in this job, right? Because the next logical step from being a trainer to being a senior trainer to being a manager is to be an owner. So I can help someone get into that, because it is really expensive to open a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I can help with that, as well as obviously having done it myself and having developed systems and marketing and SOPs, plugging another person in. And I think that's going to be my hope of keeping the best employees, is to offer them that, so they don't have to go try to open their own place. Of course they can, right? People do. But if they want to be under an umbrella and they want help, then partnering with someone on my team, I think, would be a much better option for me. That would allow me to progress them. It would allow me to have ownership or partial ownership of a second or third of whatever location, without actually having to be, that person who's in 2 places or 3 places or whatever. So that's kind of, if that were to happen, that would be how I see it. I don't myself see at any point in time wanting to be in 2 places. It has no appeal for me whatsoever.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that as like entrepreneurs that you don't have to do everything from scratch or that you have to like do everything by yourself and that like a lot of other people I feel like who do end up making it and are really successful and really have something good going want to be mentors or want to teach you or want to be an investor or be involved, you know, like that helping hand is there.
Yeah, and again, I think it would be helpful because I wouldn't offer that to anyone, but I don't know well, who I haven't worked with, and it's same for them. They would know me. They would see. They don't have to, right? But like, hey, I know her well enough. I know how she works. So, do I want this person as an investor, as a partner, right? And same for me, right? Do I think this person can manage a second location, right? Do I want to fund that business? So if that were to be something that's on the table, we'd probably spend about a year of making kind of some transitionary changes and some learning and managing this location where I would step back a little bit and or have them shadow more. But that is really kind of the plan for either growing the brand and or expanding kind of my team's career prospects if that's what they would like to have. Because I think a lot of people leave fitness as an industry because they don't see a path there, right? As soon as they're like, oh, I want to have a baby or I want to have a house, they're like, well, this I need a real job. So I want this to be a real job with real salary. We have pay, we have benefits, we have time off, we have a 401k match. Like I want people to not feel like as soon as you turn 28, you need a real job. This is a real job. If you do what we do and you work with people with the kind of injuries that we work with, it's not a gig. It's definitely something that's important. It's helpful to people. It has value. And there are people who are willing to pay for it so that it can be a career and not just like, oh, I'm just doing this to pay the bills. And that was kind of my goal as well, to make it so that this is a professionalized service and not something that's transitory.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And so, like, if someone took away the gym tomorrow, completely gone, like, who are you? Like, who's the person that exists outside of those four walls and all this amazing community that you have?
Well, at this point, when you're in it all the time, it's kind of hard to be like, whoa, what do I actually do? I'd probably do something else, open something else, honestly. But I have a husband, I have two dogs, I have other people who are not gym related at all. I
Yeah.
started doing improv a couple of years back, so I really enjoy that. But yeah, if you took the gym away, obviously there would be a big vacuum, and I would
Yeah.
kind of. It's a big part of my life, right? It's my business, but also like a lot of my friends are there, right? I like the people that I work with. I like the people that are my clients. It's a big part of my day. I don't have to go there, but I go all the time. I work out there. I just kind of, so I think that that's kind of for a lot of people who are passionate about their work, who work a lot. There would definitely be a vacuum, but I think I don't see myself like just staying, hanging out. I'd probably, depending on, what the circumstances are, but I don't see myself not doing another
Startup.
another startup. Yeah,
It's a big part of your identity.
it is. It's also, it's not just the money. It's also like what's interesting to you, right? And tinkering with things, figuring things out, winning something that would look like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, or I don't know how to make it work, and then you make it work. Otherwise, it's just what, Netflix and ice cream, basically. So,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Do you ever think about like leaving behind a legacy, something that, people are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, she created this wonderful place and she'll always be remembered."
honestly, no, I'm not a legacy person. I have a very firm belief that when, we die, we don't matter and no one remembers anything. But so I don't have that desire to like create something that has longevity. I don't believe that that's important in the scheme of things, it's very difficult to achieve, right? Like if you look at kings and queens and the greatest scientists, right? And the greatest, whatever, whoever they are, in a few generations, no one knows who they were. And no one
Yeah.
cares, right? And
Yeah.
like a great example that somebody makes every once in a while, they're like, remember Betty White? And you're like, of course, she was a legend. How often does anybody actually think of Betty White? Never, right? You don't think of her until I said that, right? You don't think, oh, Betty White, you know what I mean? She broke ground for women and she had all of this, like she did these amazing things and she was the first female comedian to be on this show and to do this and to do that. So I think I don't have the desire at all. It's not, I do want to do well while I'm doing it. And I don't want, this is not a money project for me. It's more of a passion project. So it's not, my goal is not to like just let it run on autopilot so I can like go do something else. Um, so I do care very much for it, and it would make me sad if I sold it or something happened where another person took over. If they ran it into the ground, that would certainly be upsetting.
Yeah.
Like any founder, I would be upset that something that I took such care for somebody else destroyed. But I think also, realistically, business is transitory. Very, very, very few businesses get sold.
Yeah.
Most just dissolve.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how it could possibly end. I think the most realistic ending would be that I step out and one of my guys steps in.
Yeah.
That would be the most likely scenario. Somebody who, if I at some point don't want to do it anymore, I would say, hey, which one of you guys or pair of you guys want to go in on this?
Yeah.
And we would do kind of a soft transition, which I think would be the best way to do it. They know the business, people know them, they love, I think that's the most realistic exit strategy. A stranger taking over doesn't make sense.
No. Yeah. Because the community knows you in your face.
Yes, but also, why on earth would someone who has nothing to do with gyms want to do that? You know what I mean? It's something that it would have to be somebody who likes gyms, who wants to be in a gym. Therefore, they're probably a gym person or a gym trainer or some kind of a fitness person. And so, that's kind of the trends. And, if that happened, it would be nice if I could be a member or just, drive by every once in a while and be like, hey, that place is still open. It looks good. Look at all the cars in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And have that pride of like, hey, it's still there. It's still going. I set it up so well that this person took over and it's still moving.
Yeah.
But I never thought of it like as a, forever thing. I don't see it as, because I don't have a plan to expand and have multiple locations and, franchise and go into like a regional chain situation. So I think those are the people who have more of a drive to like legacy and where will this be 50 years from now? Whereas I like what I would prefer it be smaller and the way that I want it to be, rather than, because it absolutely could make more money if I did it differently. There's 100% that if I would give up on certain standards, on certain things, that we could make more money. We could run half-hour sessions. We can run. There's a million ways you could make more money. I wouldn't like it, so I don't do it. But if a business consultant were to walk in there and I said, how can I make more money? He'd find like 8 different things. He'd be like, do these 8 things, you'll make 12 times more. I think for a lot of people who are coming out of like big, very, very fast-paced careers, very focused on achievement, on money, on deadlines, a lot of my peers are stepping out into something like this. A lot of people in my industry, in my age bracket, are coming out to something that they really like, that they're passionate about. They're not looking to become Amazon or Facebook. They are just like, I want to do a cool thing really well. without the pressure of investors and seed rounds and raising capital and, having a board of directors and quarterly earnings reports and constant, like, all of that. And to just be like, I'm going to do something really well. It's going to be really cool. And I'm not going to grow it because I don't want a board. I don't want seed rounds. I don't want to raise capital. I don't want, all of those things. So for me, it's that I don't want to run into that exact scenario of a startup in tech where all of those things happen and you grow and you make millions. And when you have an exit, it's going to be a big one. But I think some of us who've been at it for a while are tired of that.
Yeah.
And just that's not what we're looking for. You know what I mean? I'm looking to do a cool thing, make a good living, make some people happy, but not leave a legacy of, building Facebook, building Amazon, building some of these big things. That's a hard life, and those people are amazing, but I'm not driven like that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and if anything, it sounds like even into your retirement, this is a place you're going to come some time in.
Yeah, I mean, like that's again why I opened a gym, right? I like gyms. I'm gonna go to a gym, so why not go to the one that I know and like? So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Well, that's really incredible because I feel like, especially, I don't know if you've seen the latest memes, but like, some of these companies get so large that you like never see the CEOs or anything like that, and they like recently had like the owner of McDonald's like eat his own burger, and it was like so awkward, and people are like, do you even eat your own food? Like, are you a part of any of this? He like kept calling it a product, and we're like, it's food. Like, you're so out of touch. We're wondering, like, are you good? Do you own this place?
Yeah. My last corporate job, I literally, I mean, there were several teams under me, and it was just, I didn't even know what we did at a certain point.
Yeah.
I managed people who managed other people, and they reported. We had quarterly earnings, and at a certain point, I was like, "What are we building?" Like, I know some of those higher up numbers, but I just lost track of what was happening. There were just so many meetings, and so much overhead and managerial stuff. That yeah, it was very bloated. That at a certain point, I was like, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what we're doing."
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just lost track of. We're so busy, like with quarterly earnings and stuff like that, that I was like, "But what does this actually do?"
Right.
Like, we're building an app. What does it do? Like, I know about the numbers, and we have to sell it, and these are the like margins we have to hit, and this is like the staffing cost and all of that, right? Blah blah blah. But what does the thing do? And like, I was when I asked that, like, there were other people who were like, "Yeah, what does it do?" Like, we're like, "Oh my god, none of us know what we're doing."
No.
I mean, the people under us knew what they were doing, but like the entire management layer was like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "Oh, you know what? I'm not meant for such a big company.
Yeah.
It's not my jam."
No, that's definitely understandable. Well, this has been an awesome conversation because I think so many people miss how important like community is and how small business owners are like really just like the backbone or like the fabric of our foundation of like what makes I feel like society as a whole really function, right? Like, especially, so like I'm in Wyoming where we have more cows than people. And when you get into like your town, like everybody just knows like, oh, Susan at the grocery store, like, oh yeah, she was on vacation in Hawaii, right? Like you just get into these like very rhythmic things that make you feel like you belong. And like places like yours, from the sounds of it, especially like really allow people to feel like there is more than just a transaction that occurs.
In a bigger city, that's definitely true. I really do wish people, of course, it's probably hypocritical to say because before I owned a small business, I didn't think of it. But shopping local is huge, and so many people, that money stays in the community, right? The salaries that I pay out, right? That means my people buy a house in our neighborhood, and then they can go to dinner at a local restaurant, and they can buy a beer and take their kids to the local museum. And yes, it costs more money. Absolutely. You can go to a big box gym and you can get personal trainers and it will be cheaper. And for a lot of people, that's all that matters. But it is, and it's really hard to, because I shop on Amazon too, right? And I buy things at big box stores.
Yeah.
Um, every time something closes locally, there's this outcry. People go, "Oh my God, I love that place. Oh no, not that bar." And you just want to like scream. When was the last time you went and spent money there? You love it so much. When did that you love that restaurant? When did you have dinner there? You love that. Oh no, it's so sad. It's like, okay, well, this is what happens, right? And people decry that downtown has like it's becoming gentrified, that there's all these like Starbucks and all this other stuff, and it's like, oh, we hate it. It used to be so like specific, so local. Yeah, but if the locals aren't being patronized, right, then who can afford to come in and have a bad month and another bad month and another bad month? Well, it's McDonald's.
Right. Right.
They can withstand, having months where no one is patronizing them, but a small business can't. So I wish people just kind of would consciously say, look, we can't support everybody, right? But if you really love that restaurant or you love that bar or that nail salon or whatever it is, right? That you would go and be a regular customer, whatever that is. If it's a monthly thing, if it's but make a conscious effort to say, these are the 3 places I will go and get my coffee at a local coffee shop. I will train with a local gym, and I will buy my flowers from a local florist and not from some 1-800 thing, right? And everything else you can buy at Amazon, you can go to Walmart, you can go to McDonald's, you can do all the other things, but just pick a couple that are within your budget that you genuinely like and make a point of supporting, because that's we don't have that margin of, oh, well, we'll do better next year, right? Small businesses don't work that way, right? If you don't patronize them, they close, and then there's no takesy backsies. You can't be like, oh, no, never mind, we'll come over. There's a vegan restaurant that closed here, and like 1,000 people came out for their last day to get their whatever thingamajig, right?
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane. And it was like, where were you all?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's like this whole like Facebook thing. Oh, why are they closing, dude? Why do you think they're closing?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll give you 3 guesses why they're closing. And people were genuinely sad. There were all these like tributes of, oh my God, we've been coming here for 20 years and da 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 da. I'm like, not enough. So I think the economy is difficult, and of course, people have basic needs that are more important. But if you want to live in a city or a town that has a local culture, you have to make a conscious effort, and you can't pay for everything all the time, no matter what you make. But you can probably patronize 2 or 3 places that you truly want to see around. And I think it's really important to kind of name those places and say, okay, once a month I will go have lunch here, right? I'm going to have lunch somewhere, and do that. And I wish more people would kind of just consciously think of it. And again, right, it's hypocritical. Until I owned a business, I didn't think that way.
Understandable. Now that you own a business, is there anything that you're looking for support in with what you're doing? Are you having any other events or like anything local that people can be able to support you on?
Well, I appreciate it. We are doing an event with something called Nerd Night. It's an event where people just kind of geek out on a specific topic.
Cool.
We're hosting kind of how to live to 100 event with a friend who's a doctor. Her name is Dr. Sheena Spielberg. So we're going to focus on exercise. I mean, there's a million things you need to do to live to 100, right? There's food, there's all kinds of stuff, but we're going to focus specifically on exercises. There are a few that are really important, that like just one of them is grip. So grip strength is super important. One of the reasons it's super important, people injure themselves and fall all the time and break hips, and that leads to all kinds of things. But a large reason for that is not so much that they there's a balance issue, of course, but very often it's a grip issue because there is a railing or there's a branch or there's something and they cannot catch themselves. So because their grip is weak, they do fall, and when they try to reach for something, they're not strong enough or they're not dexterous enough to actually catch themselves. So when people have strong grip, they can save themselves from a fall a million different times. So we don't think of falls, we think of falls as a balance issue, and they are, or a trip hazard, but very often it actually ends up being a grip issue. People's hand slides over the railing. They just don't have the strength to hold their body weight. They actually catch it and then they let go. So having strong grip is overlooked as a metric, but it's super important if you and it's not just about practicing these things, but it's carrying groceries, it's hanging on a bar. There are other exercises, but it's important to prevent falls. It's important to be able to open doors, right? Like your life is about touch and about connecting with the world, and your grip is that. So that's something that we focus on. So it's not just all about like big biceps. Some of it is strength in muscles that you don't think of as muscles, but they are important. So that's an event that we're hosting on the 4th. We're going to do that at the Athleticus with Dr. Sheena Spielberg through Nerd Night. That's online. You can find that. Otherwise, I think people should look into fitness training of all kinds. It's so much more than aesthetics. It's sleep, it's hormone regulation, just really everything. So much comes back to that, and it's an easy thing, quote unquote, to do. Just incorporate. There's fitness everywhere. There are gyms everywhere. If you need help, there are trainers everywhere. Just do some research, but it pays great dividends. Exercise pays great dividends. It's one of the few things where you put something in and you get something back. It's not magic, but it works. It works for no matter where you're starting from. People are starting from, being pretty deconditioned, but so there's really there's no negative effect to it, if you will, right? So there's very few times when you're like, well, you shouldn't have been exercising. So that really is not a thing that anybody says, well, she did that because she exercises. It's always a good thing. It's very rarely,
Yep.
and Alice would be great, but she exercises.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome. Well, yeah, I agree. Yeah, just in general, people should be a lot more active in exercising and being mindful about like movement that's actually going to help them with their lives. Like being able to pick up your kid, or like if you had to like run and go save them, or like just any one of those things, catching yourself from a fall. I agree 100%. So well, good. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this take. I feel like it's so rare to hear somebody who's not like, I'm trying to chase $1 million and like I'm burdened by the burnout of this, adventure I went on. Like you sound like this is like your identity and something you've loved, and this is the one be all end all of gyms. And I'm so excited to be the one that's sharing your story. So thank you so much for your time.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. If anything, I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Likewise. Just let me know when this airs, and I can share it on my socials and post it on my website, and just see if you get a little bit more viewership there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're hoping for, is to be able to make this so that you can also share with your audience and they get to know a lot more about you, right? The community gets to know about the owner they see every single day and that's going to be around. So,
well, thank
huge.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.